I think the biggest thing that I regret in motherhood so far is taking being a stay-at-home mom for granted. I was a stay-at-home mom for about 8 months, and man, oh man, did I take that for granted. Now she's 13 months and I'm working full time, and I wish more than anything I could go back to staying at home with her and being with her all day, every day. I'm not gonna lie, when I was a stay-at-home mom, I was so stressed, and I did it to myself. Like, I purposefully would jam-pack my schedule, try to take her to do a million things, clean the house all day, every day, and have like a million errands to run, to the point where I would stress myself out and I'd be so exhausted at the end of the day, and like complain about staying at home with her all day and how like it would be easier if I just went to work. And now that I'm at work and I don't get to see my baby at all during the day, I literally pick her up at 5 and she's down for bed by 6. So I get literally no time with her every day. Looking back, I'm like, why was I like making myself so stressed? That is like my number one regret in motherhood this far. I wish that I would have just like slowed down, enjoyed that one-on-one time with her, and soaked it all in, because now I don't get to be with her, and I wish more than anything I was with her all day. So if you're a stay-at-home mom and you're finding yourself like stressed out and complaining, I would try to shift your perspective and just be grateful that you get to spend and raise your baby, because right now I'm letting strangers at the daycare raise her.
I'm grateful for all the moms of TikTok who show their constant struggles with motherhood. Not because I can relate, simply because I don't want to. I had this game all messed up in my head. I thought motherhood was going to be something completely different. I'll admit it. I fell into the propaganda. I fell into it's the best thing that could ever happen to you, okay? I used to want a whole bunch of children. I have since changed my mind. Thank God I never had one, because there would be no going back from that, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you guys for sharing. I just saw a video actually of a girl. I saw a video of a woman, and she's in the car eating her sushi. It looks like she just stopped at the store real quick to go grab some. And her kid's in the background saying, "Mommy, I'm still hungry. I'm still hungry." The way that would have enraged me. Okay? I don't need to have kids. I don't even like when my dog repetitively licks the same spot over and over again. I don't like that. It makes me angry. I don't need kids. So thank you guys for constantly sharing, constantly posting, and always letting us know what it's like, because the more that I see, the more that I realize it actually wasn't for me.
Every parent on the planet falls into one of these 3 categories. I did a video about this on my YouTube channel back in the summer of 23, right? But because of all the comments I keep getting on here talking about how I'm going to regret my decision, we need to talk about all the parents who regret their decisions. They're all over social media now. It's becoming more and more acceptable to talk about their regrets. But don't worry. If you are a parent, you fall into one of these 3 categories without a shadow of a doubt. So first, we have category A, the parent who absolutely, we're going to just talk about mothers for the sake of this video, because a lot of fathers are really not that involved in their kids' lives, so they don't really count in this video. The mothers who absolutely enjoy motherhood. They don't whoop their kids, they don't beat their kids, they don't yell at their kids, they don't make their kids feel bad about themselves. They take all the challenges with a smile, with a grain of salt. You know, even when it gets challenging, they just love being a mother. It is like the best thing that's ever happened to them. Then you got category B, the parents who absolutely, the mothers who regret motherhood. They absolutely regret motherhood. They love their kids. They would do anything for their kids. They will die for their kids. They can't imagine not having their kids in their lives now that they're here. But if they had to do it all over again, if they could change the person or the people that they had kids with, if they could change the timing of when they had kids, if they could change anything about it, having kids, period, many of them would choose not to. And the key component in this category is that they will admit it to you. Now, category 3 is the exact same as category 2, except they won't admit it. In my personal opinion, the vast majority of the population, and I'm talking like 80 something, high 80 percentile, in my opinion, falls into category 3. The vast majority of you guys will never admit your regret. Now, like I said, here on TikTok, on all the websites, all of these social media forums, there are more and more and more women coming out talking about their regret. So it's not as taboo as it used to be, because you couldn't admit this stuff back in the day. But now more and more women are talking about this. So because we know that there are so many parents, mothers out there who regret their kids, why do y'all keep telling child-free people that we're going to regret not having them, when there are so many of them who regret having them? And I tell people all the time, I would much rather regret not having kids than to regret having them. Because if I don't have them, the only person I'm hurting is myself. If I have them, I'm hurting them. I'm not even hurting myself if I have them. I mean, I am, but I'm not. I'm actually hurt. They're going to be the ones that suffer the most. So I would much rather not put a child through that. But like I said, the vast majority of the population falls in category 3. And the smallest amount of the population, in my opinion, less than like 7%, falls in category 1. So there's my take on that. Stop telling child-free women that we're going to regret our decision when there are so many mothers out there who are miserable every day, all day, every day, and they regret having their children.
No one prepared me for the fact that the thing that I yearned for and worked so hard to get would become something that I deeply regret quite quickly. My child was the product of multiple fertility treatments, rounds and rounds of injections, scans, medications, invasive medical exams, and many tearful nights. Although I was young, this is something that comes with being married to an older man who wanted children. I had a difficult pregnancy and a premature birth. My husband left me mere days after her birth, before she even left the intensive care unit, throwing me into single parenthood. A fate I had never wanted. No one told me about postpartum depression, where I spent my days crying inconsolably and anxiously watching my child sleep to make sure she didn't pass away. No one told me that the anxiety would become so bad I couldn't shower or eat. I was not prepared for the postpartum rage that would burn if she cried. No one told me that it would last years, not just the first month. I feel so trapped in my life. I dedicated the entirety of my 20s to conceiving and then raising a child I hadn't wanted on my own. I don't have a life of my own. I have never experienced anything for myself outside of being a wife, then a single parent. 4 years later, the depression and anxiety are still here, and I feel like a shell of a human being. I don't know myself. All I know is to cook and clean, work and struggle daily. With a child that is so demanding of every inch of my space and time, I'm unsure of what to do. My youth passes me by without having been lived. If I could give a message to anyone, it would be to find yourself, live your life, and enjoy it before making that very serious decision to have children. Seeing people my age travel and date and love life is excruciating from the sidelines.
You know, I was just out on a bike ride, and I was thinking to myself about being child-free and how much more of luxuries it gives us when compared to, couples with parents. And I know this is probably going to trigger a lot of salty parents out there. It always does. But I was thinking, like, for regretful parents that, secretly regret that they had kids, and believe me, there's plenty of them. Just go search Reddit. If you don't believe me. I believe Amanda and I are the kind of what could have been for a lot of parents that jumped into marriage too early, jumped into having kids too early because, just where you live, and that's just the next thing you do. You didn't even think about it. We have so much spare time for our hobbies. We're both very fit. I mean, I'm going to be 45, and I'm probably fitter than most 20-year-olds. I'm a single-digit handicap in golf. These are all things that, especially men, have potential to be if they didn't have kids. I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way. We have nothing against having kids. If that's what you wanted in life, that's for you. Please be my guest. It's just not for us. And I'm just saying, looking at from a perspective of regretful parents. They're looking at our life and saying, that could have been me. It's just a thought I was having. Basically, just a PSA. Please thoroughly think through about having kids. Amanda and I thought about it for a while, and we're very thankful that we did not have kids, because if we were still in Texas in the South surrounded by that, we'd probably have kids right now. Sometimes it takes stepping away and realizing what you want in life.
I love the regretful parents content. Like, if you regret being a parent, let me know. Let me know. It's helpful for data points. For data purposes, let me know.
My mother raised me telling me to never have children. She told my brother and I that she loved us, but we made her life so hard and unhappy. I heard this from a very young age, so I never wanted children. I ended up marrying my close friend who I grew up going to church with. We had a very rocky relationship, and I often felt very isolated being with him. He alienated me from friends and family and picked fights with me constantly. Before we got married, I told him that he should only marry me if he agreed that we'd never have children. He agreed, and also agreed to support me when I got an abortion if an accident happened. I wish I had better self-esteem in hindsight to know that the relationship was too abusive for promises. An accident eventually happened. After a failed Plan B pill, I had a positive pregnancy test. I was devastated and immediately came to him to help support me in the decision to terminate the pregnancy. He backpedaled as quickly as you can imagine. It was constant fighting. He threatened to have me committed due to my mental health struggles. He threatened to oust me to our families. He threatened legal action against me. Among other things, he threatened to throw me out, and I was alone and dependent on him. My last-ditch effort was to my mother. I begged her to help me have an abortion, and she refused. I had my child. I loved my child more than anything. She was the sweetness I had been searching for my whole life. She was an escape from the pain of being so alone. But the sweetness doesn't stay forever, and the baby turned into the girl who looked and acted just like me. At 4, 5, 6, I struggled to continue being the mom I wish mine was. I began to yell, and the poison coming from my mouth became too hurtful, too much like my own mother's. The best thing my dad ever did for me as a child was leave us. He was an abusive and aggressive person. I couldn't let my daughter become as damaged as I am. I couldn't hold in all of the anger I felt toward my mother and father and then turn around and give it to this beautiful, innocent girl. So I left. I left so I no longer hurt her. I left so she could remain innocent. I left before I said the things that my mother said to me. Becoming a mother emotionally crippled me beyond any repair. Loving someone and then losing control and turning into a monster because they are a reflection of all the abuse you endured is a hell I wouldn't wish on anyone. I wish it turned me into a protector. I wish my abuse made me see her with softness. But I am just like them in the end, and she is safe.
There's been a lot of stories lately about kids cutting off toxic parents. But nobody talks about the parents who weren't toxic. The ones who gave everything. Not perfectly, but with every honest piece of their heart. Who showed up to every game, coached most of their sports, and sat through every concert like it was the only place in the world that mattered. Who memorized your favorite foods, your sleep patterns, your childhood fears, in case you needed me before you ever had to ask. Who prayed for you more times than I ever prayed for myself. Who learned to be strong so that you would never have to see me scared, because I was. Who raised you in a world that almost broke me, just so it wouldn't break you first. And still woke up one day to find that their child had erased them, like they were nothing but a wound to escape from. I don't chase you, not because I stopped loving you, but because loving you shouldn't have to mean begging to be let in. But I'd be lying if I said it doesn't feel like grieving someone who is still alive. You're living your life like I never existed, while I wake up every day, remembering the version of you that once loved me. I don't know what story you have had to tell yourself to make me the enemy. And maybe I'll spend the rest of my life loving someone who never once asked for my side of the story. But gosh, there is a special kind of heartbreak in raising a child so well that you gave them the strength to walk away from you and never look back. And I just pray when you rewrite me, you at least remember that I loved you.
I'm definitely choosing to be child-free in this lifetime, and there are several logical reasons to why I have made a very concrete decision to do so. First of all, looking back to the previous generation, to my mom's and dad's generation, I realized that most of them were just having kids based on a whim. Like, they didn't really think much about it. They didn't really think about the physical, mental, emotional labor that they would be going through once the baby is brought to this world. Basically, they just have, and then they have kids, and then they had me. Don't get me wrong, they all love their children. They all have good intentions. They all want to make sacrifice for their children. But I'm sorry to say, 99% of them are so unprepared. They were absolutely unprepared of the emotional maturity, of the necessary skills and knowledge about raising your kids properly. That's why a lot of kids from the later, younger generations, they grew up with a lot of trauma. Not out of malicious intentions from their parents, but just from the mere fact that their parents were unequipped, absolutely unequipped to bring them up, and especially to be able to be there for them emotionally and mentally. If you live in an Asian household, I think this will hit home to you. The second reason is the more I mature into my adulthood, the more I realize that the narrative where women are told that, oh, you must get married by a certain age, you must have kids by a certain age, or else you would blah, 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 so and so, is a deeply misogynistic message, because I kind of realized that it's actually a scam. Women are told that they would only be happy if they have a husband and only when they have kids. This narrative takes away the value of a woman on her own. It basically tells women that, oh, if you are standing alone by yourself, you wouldn't have any worth. You wouldn't reach to your full potential if you don't embrace motherhood. Also, the whole narrative of you're only truly happy once you get married and have kids, it's sold to women without any priming, without any precautions. No one primes women of the hard labor, the unimaginable sacrifice in terms of her body, in terms of her mental health, in terms of her energy, in terms of her youth, in terms of her time and resources. to raise kids, to hold a family together. Meanwhile, their husband, most of the times, would just sit on the sideline and watch. Not because they don't want to do anything, but most men are incapable of doing women's work. So that's why when women started having kids, she will eventually and ultimately have to bear all the labor that comes with it, that comes with the whole package of having kids. And that package lasts a lifetime. That subscription of having kids lasts a lifetime. There's no way out for women once they already have kids. The third point I want to make is a lot of people will say, oh, but who's going to take care of you when you get older? Who's going to take care of you? You're going to be lonely. But let's be fucking honest to one another. What do you have in your hand to guarantee 100% that your children wouldn't abandon you once you get old? Or they wouldn't be broke and be financially incapable of taking care of you once you get old? Can you guarantee that wouldn't happen? What I've seen from a lot of families in my close proximity is that even when a family has a lot of children and they're all grown-ups, they're just too busy scraping by. They're just too busy surviving in this economy, in this day and time, in this modern age, that they are just mentally, emotionally, financially incapable of taking good care, emphasize good care, of their parents. So a lot of parents still end up in nursing homes. And that's just the reality of the world that we're living in right now. Also, I think that if you bring a child, a baby into this world, just to have somebody to take care of you once you get old, is a fucking selfish thought. You should be the last person on this planet to bring a kid to this world because you're so fucking selfish. If you truly love your child, you wouldn't even have that thought in your mind. Bringing a baby into this world just to have somebody to entertain you emotionally and take care of you once you get old, or so that you would have the access to his or her resources when he or she grows up, you should go have a vasectomy or like tie your fallopian tube or something. Just don't have kids. You are the worst kind of people to have kids if you have that thought in mind. That's fucking selfish. And I rest my case. I wouldn't be apologetic when I say this out loud. And please don't get me wrong, if you truly want to have kids and you have a deep calling to embrace parenthood, please do. That's a beautiful thing. I think parenthood and motherhood, it's a beautiful thing, but it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. And I really respect the women, the men who deeply acknowledge that they wouldn't be able to make that kind of sacrifice to raise a child, and they consciously opt out from having kids and they stay child-free by choice. That's a very conscious decision. That's a very intelligent and smart and emotionally mature decision. I respect you.
Parents actually regret kids much more than I think a lot of people realize. There's actually a whole subreddit called Regretful Parents, and that subreddit inspired me to ask my audience if they regret their children. I wanted to do a podcast about it. I'm still trying to do a podcast about it, but look, things got in the way. I'm doing it next year. The point of this is, though, when I posted asking, do you regret being a parent? It isn't about regretting your children or hating your children or being a bad person, but do you regret altering your life by becoming a parent? And within an hour of posting one Instagram story with a random email address, I had 400 emails. That Instagram story within that hour would have only gotten maybe 10,000 views, maybe 15,000 views. So that is a large number of people that follow me that are A, parents, but B, regret having children. So while this is a very cute saying, a lot of people, more than you realize, not most at all, I would say, I would hope, but a lot of people regret having their children and regret becoming parents. I think it's more about the shift of role rather than having anything against your personal kid. But regardless, it's not good. Let me know if you guys want me to read out some of these Reddit threads. I won't read out the emails because they are private for now. I don't want people to be outed. But yeah, let me know if you want me to find some Reddit threads because it's not good. It's like, that's also what makes me go, I don't know if I can do it because so many people say it's fucking hell.